Freedom! Good afternoon, guys. Guess what? There's something going on outside. You know what it is? Snow. It's snowing outside. Thank you for those of you who prayed. The snow is here. We're supposed to have wintry weather until Boxing Day. If you're not Canadian, you probably don't know what Boxing Day is. And I'm not going to tell you. Go to Mr. Google and check it out for yourself. Boxing Day, something we have in Canada. I hope you guys are doing well. Stay safe wherever you're at. If you have wintry weather, if you don't know how to drive in the snow, don't do it. I do know how to drive in the snow, but I don't drive anymore. And plus, these vehicles don't have snow tires, as far as I know. But anyway, thank you, Lord, for answering that prayer. It's nice to have snow. Hopefully, it's a white Christmas. We're going to do the fast break devotional here this afternoon. It's day 138. We're cutting through this thing. We're really chewing through. That's how much we've finished in this devotional so far. We're doing good. This is called temporary setbacks. Of course, setbacks are never a good thing. Ecclesiastes 3 and 4 says, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance. And I want to say before I get into this, we had a brother in the Lord named Brother Morris who graduated today. And he's going to enjoy his first Christmas with Jesus. I know they don't celebrate Christmas in heaven. I'm not trying to say that, but you get what I mean. He went home. He was in his 80s. Cancer took him. I'm actually really surprised that he battled this long. I thought maybe it would have been sooner, but hey, he's healed. So heaven has gained a good one, and you can, Brother Morris, you can sing your goat song there. All you want, brother. Do send out prayers for that family, the Morris family. If you guys watch this, send prayers for comfort during this time of loss. Sad that it has to happen now, but it's never a bad thing when someone gets to go home to be with Jesus. All right, we're going to read chapter 3 in Ecclesiastes, starting at verse 1. Let's go all the way down to verse 15, I think. Yep, let's do that. And then we'll read what the devotional has to say. To everything there is a season, a time for every purpose under heaven. You know the song, Turn, Turn, Turn? It's an old song, but it's good. It comes straight from the Bible. A time to be born and a time to die. A time to plant and a time to uproot what is planted. A time to kill and a time to heal. A time to break down and a time to build up. A time to weep and a time to laugh. A time to mourn and a time to dance. A time to cast away stones and a time to gather stones. A time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing. A time to gain and a time to lose. A time to keep and a time to cast away. A time to tear and a time to sow. A time to keep silence and a time to speak. A time to love and a time to hate. A time of war and a time of peace. And I will add, it's always a time to hate Satan and hate the works of the devil. I had a woman one time, some of you know her. She claims to be an apostolic woman, not by denomination, but she claims to be an apostle, rather, or a prophet. Does live videos. She's a closet witch. Has a very southern accent. She astral travels. And she once told me that we're not supposed to hate Satan because he was created by God. Actually, Lucifer was created by God, and he rebelled and became the adversary, which is Satan. We are not supposed to like Satan at all. We're supposed to hate evil, but we're not supposed to hate people because, as Ephesians 6 says, we're not wrestling against flesh and blood. All right, let's go on. Verse 9. What benefit does the worker have in his toil? I have seen the task that God has given to sons of men to be concerned with. He has made everything beautiful in its appropriate time. He has also put obscurity in their hearts so that no one comes to know the work that God has done from the beginning to the end. I experienced that there is nothing better for them than to be glad and to do good in their life. And also that everyone should eat and drink and experience good in all their labor. This is a gift of God. I have perceived that everything that God has done will be lasting. And to this there is nothing to be added, and from it there is nothing to be taken away. And God has done this so that in his presence men fear him. That which has already been and what is to come has also already been. And God seeks out what has been driven away. Some pretty good writing from King Solomon, isn't it? It's nice. All right. Talking about time again. A time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance. So keep that in mind as we read this. Temporary setbacks. The author here says, the occasional disappointments and failures of life are inevitable. Means we can't get away from them. There's always going to be some kind of setback. There's always going to be some kind of disappointment in life because we live in an imperfect world. Don't expect to be a Christian and expect everything to run smoothly all the time. In fact, I'm getting to the point where I expect the enemy to attack. I expect bad things to happen, and yet, we go through a lot of bitter, but I expect, peaks where God brings joy, where God brings the sweet. That's how I live life now. I don't expect good all the time. I certainly wouldn't make that mistake. I expect more bad than good because of the struggle, because of the front of the battle being there. That's what happens. So you can't always enjoy the sweet without the bitter. Life is bittersweet through this walk. Such setbacks are simply the price that we must occasionally pay for our willingness to take risks as we follow our dreams. And I hope that your dreams are the dreams that Jesus has for you. But even when we encounter bitter disappointments, we must never lose faith. When we encounter the inevitable difficulties of life here on earth, God stands ready to protect us. Our responsibility, of course, is to ask him for protection. When we call upon him in heartfelt prayer, he will answer in his own time and according to his own plan, and he will heal us. And don't forget Romans 8:28, key life verse. And while we are waiting for God's plans to unfold and for his healing touch to restore us, we can be comforted in the knowledge that our Creator can overcome any obstacle, even if we cannot. Even though we can't do something, God can do it, or God can use us to do it. All right, let's see this name here. Jose Maria Estravia, or Estrava. Jose Maria Escriva. Wow, what a name. She said, so you have failed. You have not failed. You have gained experience. Go forward. Barbara Johnson said, the difference between winning and losing is how we choose to react to disappointment. And speaking of sore losers and all that kind of thing, you know what? I've seen losers come out looking like the winners because they put in everything that they had to try to win. Even though they didn't win, their attitude has still been good. And it's like they deserved to be the winner. And there's a lot of poor winners too. They win and yet they still complain. They're ungrateful. It's great to be a winner. It's great to be a good winner. But it's also important that as believers that we're also good losers. Don't be poor sports. And I mention that because life is going to be filled with setbacks. Expect the enemy to attack you if you're working hard for the Lord. There are people who look at others and their circumstances and say, oh, they're always being attacked, so they must be in the wrong. No. Sometimes they're fighting at the front lines and they're being attacked because they're at the front. The devil often leaves Christians alone when they're serving him anyway. When they're not pressing through to serve God and be all that they can be for him, Satan won't bother them as much. So life seems to go smoother. So the people who think that when you're a Christian and life goes smooth, it's because you're doing something right. That can be true sometimes, but I beg to differ. In my experience, the people who are doing right are going through the most trials, testings, and hardships. But God is refining that gold. He's putting you through the fire to burn off what you don't need so you can become everything that He wants you to be. Keep that in mind, guys. Be used to disappointment, but push through them and be a shining example to this lost and dying world. Have a blessed day, guys. Enjoy the snow if you're getting any, and we'll see you in the next Fast Break Devotional.